12 ounce, sugar-free, Shanson. Has to be sugar-free. What's going on, guys? It is Will here, back again once again for the Week 15 edition of the Gridiron Talk podcast. Thank you guys so much for all your love and support with this show. Me and Shane put a lot of effort into this, so we really just want to send our thanks to you guys. If you guys don't know, Shane is currently in Florida right now, the beautiful sunshine state of Florida. He actually saw, fun fact, he saw Urban Meyer get his ass out of town when he got fired yesterday, right, Shane? You saw him leaving Jacksonville?
Yeah, I saw him walking the street like a bum.
Yeah, no surprise, guys. You know, Shane's the Rider Rocket. He's trying to flirt with the girl next door. I'm not surprised about that. You know, Shane being Shane, he's a menace to society wherever he goes or lives. But regardless, enough talking about Shane. We got a couple NFL news coming up. And just like always, guys, we're going to go through the games. And we got some big games. We got some games on Saturday this week. You know how they do that at the end of the year. We got 2 games on Saturday. We got games on Thursday, games on Sunday, games on Monday. It's a whole fucking weekend of football. I cannot wait. So, Shane, before we get into the news, man, how you been? How's Florida? Tell the viewers.
It's nice. It's really nice down here. I realize they say a lot of things differently than we do in New York. Like, this one girl, because we drove down here. This one girl in South Carolina, I asked her to put 20, put 20 in a gas tank, and she's like, put 20 on what? And I was like, for gas. She's like, oh, never heard anybody say that. I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep my comment to myself. But I love it down here. I love it. My tryout isn't until Sunday, but be here till then, so can't wait.
So, like I said, we're going to go into the news. So we got couple injuries, a couple news stories, a really sad one. So let's just go into it. I'm sure everyone knows this, but we just want to talk about it. Former Broncos wide receiver, first-team All-Pro, Pro Bowler, Demaryius Thomas, Super Bowl champion, was found dead last weekend. He was only 33 years old. Now, I'm not a Broncos fan, obviously, but when I think of the Broncos when Peyton Manning was there, you always think of 2 receivers that Peyton Manning threw to, Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders. And he was one hell of a player, man. He was a guy that I really hope he's in the Hall of Fame. I'm not sure if he'll make it or not, but that 88 better be retired in Denver because he is a Broncos legend. He is one of the reasons why they won the Super Bowl. And he is also one of the reasons why Peyton Manning has the all-time passing yards record in a season. He was a hell of a player, and it's just really sad. Do you have anything to add about Demaryius Thomas, Shane?
No, I love Demaryius Thomas. I thought he was a great player. I personally think he should be in the Hall of Fame, but hopefully they put him there. But it'll be a little bit, so we'll see.
And good thing that the Broncos won last week against the Lions for him. I know most of the teammates from the Super Bowl era in Denver are no longer there, but you got a couple guys that didn't win the Super Bowl but played with Demaryius Thomas, such as Justin Simmons.
There's 15 of them. That's what I heard. There's 15 players on the active squad that played in that game that were teammates or once teammates with Demaryius Thomas.
The biggest one is Justin Simmons, the free safety, and if you guys didn't see, he got a pick. No surprise because Jared Goff sucks, but regardless, he got a pick and he threw that. He put the ball right at the 88 because they have a bunch of memorials. So hopefully the Broncos retire that number. I'm expecting they will. I mean, come on. But there's just tragic news. The cause of death is unknown. Demaryius Thomas got into a car accident about 2 years ago, so they think it has something to do with complications from that. Nothing like no foul play. No drug overdose or anything like that. They think it was just some medical condition stemming from a car accident. So my thoughts and prayers go out to Demaryius Thomas. I know he has a young son, I believe, his children, his widow. My thoughts and prayers go out to them, and rest in peace, Demaryius Thomas. On some better news, or not better news, but not sad news. We got Cardinals wide receiver Deandre Hopkins is out for the rest of the regular season with a knee sprain. And he is expected to get surgery, and he's also expected to be back for their playoff push if they make it, which they most likely will. Lamar Jackson is week to week with an ankle sprain. He left the game against the Browns early, and that is not good for the Ravens as they're also trying to make a playoff push. There is somewhat of a COVID outbreak in the NFL, but no games are expected to be canceled. Stay tuned on that. staying on ESPN and Bleacher Report. After, if anything gets canceled after the podcast, just stay tuned, as there is a bunch of guys with COVID, but nothing is expected to be canceled, thank God. And lastly, as I alluded to in the beginning, Jaguars fire head coach Urban Meyer. You know why this happened, Shane? Because he's an Ohio State guy, and Ohio State's trash. All right. They'll be watching Michigan beat Georgia in the semifinals from their couches.
Yawn. No, they won't. Yawn.
So real quick, Shane, what's your thoughts on Urban? Did you hear what he did to Josh Lambo? He literally kicked him in the leg. Did you hear that? What a piece of shit, man.
I think Urban Meyer is possibly the worst NFL coach you could ever put. I mean, come on, you could put me out there and I'd give the Jaguars a better record than him. But I don't think he's a good coach at all. I don't think he was ever a good coach, whether it was high school, whether it was college, NFL. I just don't think he's a good coach.
So that's that, and we also got breaking news from Ian Rappaport. Rip my fantasy team. Jalen Waddle is on the COVID-19 list. So my fantasy team is screwed for the playoffs. I was expecting him to drop a 40 bomb on the Jets. But Jalen Waddle, Alabama rookie wide receiver for the Dolphins, is out for the game against the Jets. So that is not good for him. Tua Tagovailoa, man, has been really relying on Jalen Waddle. But with all the news covered, man, are you ready to get into the games?
Yeah.
As I take a sip from my sugar-free Red Bull, a little bit of a quick fact. I didn't finish the script before this morning. I was watching romantic teen movies because don't even ask why. And
Will something. That's why.
Shut the hell up. So I needed some caffeine, so I got some sugar-free Red Bulls, and I'm ready to go. I could probably run a half marathon right now. But anyway, regardless, the game for tonight. AFC West Battle, Thursday night. Kansas City Chiefs, 9-4 against the Los Angeles Chargers, who are 8-5. And the Chiefs are 3-point favorites in this game. This is going to be a great game. AFC West rivals meet in a huge divisional game. Obviously, the Chargers beat the Chiefs early on this year. If the Chargers win, they will take the first place in the AFC West by the tiebreaker. When they last played, it was a thriller. The Chargers did upset the Chiefs. And Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes, question for you, Shane. I got two. Do you think the Chargers complete the sweep on the Chiefs? And the other one is, do you think that the quarterback rivalry between Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes has potentially be like former greats like Peyton Manning versus Tom Brady, or Aaron Rodgers? Okay, that's a bad one. Peyton Manning versus Tom Brady. John Elway versus, I guess, Joe Montana. Like, do you think that Herbert versus Mahomes is going to be the next big quarterback rivalry for the next decade or two?
I do not. I think Patrick Mahomes would be one of them, but I don't think Herbert will be, just because he's in the same division with Mahomes. It'd still be a great rivalry, but I don't think it'll be the great rivalry. I honestly think it's going to be Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes, but I think it'll be big. I don't think it'll be that big. And two, I don't think the Chargers complete the sweep. The Chiefs are a way different team than they were in week 3 that they faced them, I think. I can't remember.
3 or 4, yeah.
3 or 4. The Chiefs, their defense is stepping up. They put Chris Jones back at D tackle, which is what they needed the whole entire time. That's where he's best at. That's where he's going to help that defense. And it's helped that defense as they've won, I believe, 5 or 6 in a row.
Your defense is stepping up, like you said.
The Chiefs' offense is going off the walls. I mean, they beat the Raiders, what was it, 41-9, I think?
48-9.
48-9. So, I mean, and that wasn't even all Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes only had, I think, 230 yards and 2 touchdowns. So, they got an underrated running game. I realized this week when I was watching the game, they have a very underrated running game. I just don't think, and like we've said all year, the Chargers' X factor during most of their games is can they stop the run? Can their defense stop the run? And I don't think they will this game. I don't think they can stop Mahomes. I don't think they can stop the run. And I don't think their defense is ready for what Patrick Mahomes and that running game is going to do to them.
I think the Chargers have a very bright future, but if anyone here watches hockey, I feel like they're going to be like the Rangers. Now I know a lot of people don't like hockey, but the thing about the New York Rangers is they got a very good young core, but they're just one piece away That one, and for the Rangers, it's depth, and that's what the Chargers are. And, bringing it back to football, they got a great young core with Justin Herbert, and I really like their team, but they're just missing that one piece. And for the Chargers, it's defensive tackle. If there's one Achilles heel to have in football, that is one you don't want to have, because teams can just run the ball down your throat, and it can make an average running back seem like Barry Sanders. So I feel like the Chargers, if they got a defensive tackle like Chris Jones, like DeForest Buckner for the Colts, who we will be talking about, the Chargers would seriously be a Super Bowl favorite. And I say that wholeheartedly. I think if they fix out one hole, the Chargers are, and maybe the linebacker position too, but mainly the D tackle, they will be a Super Bowl contender. But for this game, I got the Chiefs winning in another shootout, 35-30. What about you, Shane?
I have the Chiefs winning 35-24. And on to our next game, it'll be the Raiders, who are 6-7, versus the Browns, who are 7-6. The Raiders are 1-point underdogs.
Favorites.
And the Browns have they have COVID issues. They have a lot of people on the COVID list. My question here for you, Will, is actually I got two of them. Are the Browns, pretty much the same question. Do you think either of these teams make the playoffs? And if so, what do they have to do to make that happen?
Now, let me just say real quick that this game and the next game are on Saturday. As I said, there was games on Saturday, so this game plus the next one are on Saturday. So if anyone's tuning into these games and you're looking for the game on Sunday, this is going to be on Saturday around 4 o'clock. But do I think either of these teams can make the playoffs? Yes. Obviously, both of them will not, but again, on paper and statistically, they both have the potential to do that. The Raiders are just a very bipolar team. They can beat the Cowboys one week and get blown out by the Chiefs. We've talked about the Cowboys and how good they are. And to some people, the Cowboys are Super Bowl favorites, which I don't think they are, but I do think they're a very good team. And then you go against the Chiefs and you just get embarrassed. The Browns, on the other hand, have been playing very mid throughout the whole year. And to me, it's because of Baker Mayfield's playing while hurt. People realize, I don't know if people realize that. People don't really care. But as I said earlier, he's been playing with a torn labrum all year. And he refuses to get it fixed because he wants to lead the Browns to the playoffs. And that is what you want from a franchise guy. And they've had a lot of drama, especially with Odell Beckham and all that stuff. So I think they both can do it. But if I had to pick one, I think the Browns, because of their because of their run game. Now, I know Kareem Hunt's hurt again. He is turning out to be injury prone. But Nick Chubb is a beast. We saw what Dearness Johnson can do when both of them were out against the Broncos. And we also saw how much potential this defense has when it's healthy. I mean, Myles Garrett had 3 sacks, and he had his first touchdown of his career. Jadeveon Clowney, I think, had a sack, maybe a forced fumble. And they are proving that when this defense is clicking, that they're a threat. And why they beat the Ravens last week? It was their defense. The Raiders, do I think they'll bounce back at all? No, I don't think the Raiders are going to win another game throughout the season and have another terrible end after starting out strong. But do you have anything else to add about these two teams, Shane? We basically go off of what I just said.
No, not really. Besides what you said about the running game for the Browns, as you know, I know Nick Chubb's a dog. I've always been a fan of Nick Chubb. From when he started as a freshman at Georgia up until now, I think he's a different breed of running backs. He's an old style. He reminds me of Marshawn Lynch to a T. Got to get him Skittles to get him better though. But I have the Browns winning this game against the Raiders, 31-27.
I got the Browns winning again, a little bit lower scoring, but I got the Browns winning 20-17. Now this game is the Saturday primetime game against the New England Patriots, who are 9-4, and the Colts are 7-6. And the Patriots, let me just double check on this. I know I probably should saw this.
Come on, Mr. Stats guy, let's go.
I should have. It's all me. I take full responsibility for this. I'm supposed to be writing this down more coherently. Yes, the Colts are 2.5 points favorites for this game. Now, here's the thing about this game. Both these teams are coming off of byes, and it's the tale of two different teams. Now, what is the main point of this game? Now, some would say Mac Jones versus Carson Wentz. a Super Bowl rematch with Frank Wright or Carson Wentz versus Bill Belichick, whatever. I think the biggest battle here is going to be the Patriots defense versus the Colts offense. Now, why is the reason why the Patriots are winning games? Their defense. I'm a big fan of Mac Jones. I've been saying that since they got into a role. But, I mean, he threw 3 passes last time he played, so you can't say he was the reason why they won. Nor their run game. It was their defense. Their defense and then the shitty weather conditions in Buffalo was the main reasons why the Patriots won. I'm not making excuses. I'm just stating a fact, you know. And the Colts side of the ball, their offense is very, very good and criminally underrated. If I told you, Shane, that the Colts lead the league or second in the league in rushing yards, would you believe me?
Yes, I actually would. Jonathan Taylor's a dog. I honestly think, similar to what you said, I think it's going to be the Patriots defense, or the Patriots offense versus the Patriots defense, just because of their defense is good as well. Like,
wait, hold on, what'd you say? You said the Patriots offense versus the Patriots defense. Did you mean the Colts defense?
Yeah, my bad.
Okay.
Thinking too fast. I think the Colts offense is a little underrated, but I think their defense is even more underrated. Because they were holding teams down all year, and their record is they don't play like a 7-6 teams. Like if you said the Browns were as good as the Colts, I'd slap the shit out of you. Sorry for my language, but the Colts are way underrated. So that's what I think of it.
Yeah, the Colts had that really slow start. They started off 1-4, but they've really rebounded nicely, and I really think they're a playoff team. A fun fact, the Colts have not beaten the Patriots since Peyton Manning was there. They had not beat the Patriots since 2009, which is kind of amazing to think. The Colts offense is third in the league. They average 29 points a game, which is outstanding. And the Patriots defense is the best in the league, averaging 15 points against them. And lastly, with this game statistically, number-wise, the Patriots are undefeated on the road, and they are looking to continue that with this game against Indianapolis. So this is going to be a good game. Jonathan Taylor versus the Colts or the Patriots defense. And also, Carson Wentz is arguably having one of the biggest games of his career to snap this losing streak that the Colts have against Bill Belichick. And he's going to prove that has to prove to people that he is not overrated, that he's finally back to form where he was against the Eagles, that he is not bad. And lastly, Shane, my question for you is, are the Patriots overrated? Do you think their fans are, blowing things out of proportion with how good their offense is with Mac Jones and just their whole team? Do you think they're overrated, or do you think they're in the right spot right now?
I don't think they're overrated, but I do think the fans are overrating them just a little bit. Their defense is very scary, and yeah, Mac Jones threw 3 passes last week. Ha ha ha. I'm not a Patriots fan, so don't come at me. But Mac Jones is doing Mac Jones is playing the games that he needs to play, whether you think he sucks or not. He's doing what's best for the team, and that's always been a Belichick type of quarterback. Tom Brady did it for his first couple years he was in the league. Fun fact, Mac Jones has better numbers his rookie year than Tom Brady does his rookie year, and you can look that up. But the big thing for me is the Colts defense versus the Patriots offense, just because of, like I said, Mac Jones. Mac Jones may need to do a little bit more than what he's been doing. Obviously, throw more than 3 passes. But in general, with stats,
but that's not his fault, though. You know what I'm saying? He's not calling the plays. It's not his fault, though.
It's not.
I'm not saying you're saying that, but some people are saying Mac Jones is overrated because he threw 3 passes. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that some people think Mac Jones is overrated mainly because they're saying that he's better than Tom Brady. And I guess statistically, is he better in his rookie year? Yes, but it's a very different game. Football in 2001 is very different than football is in 2021. That's just a fact. You know what I'm saying? There's been times in football, like in that era with Tom Brady and Matt Hasselbeck and Peyton Manning or Steve McNair for the Titans, that a quarterback throwing for 4,000 yards is like a quarterback throwing for 5,000 yards now. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, oh my God, if they throw for 5,000 yards, that's crazy. Back then, throwing for 4,000 yards was like crazy. 3,000 was the standard back then. Now it's 4,000. So my point is the game is very different now. So in my opinion, you can't really judge that Mac Jones is better statistically than Tom Brady because it's just a very different game. But regardless, continue your thoughts.
No, I agree with that 100%. But Mac Jones is gonna have to get to a next level because to me this is minus the Bucs game, which wasn't really a big game early in the year. It was just big because Brady came back and there's a new rookie quarterback for the Patriots.
It was a story.
Yeah, This is Mac Jones' biggest game up to this point in his career because the Colts gained 3 spots in the AFC playoff race. I don't know if you saw that, but they were in the 9th spot or either the 9th or the 8th spot, and now they're like the 5th or the 6th. And they didn't even play last week. So this is a big game for both teams. There's a lot of good teams this year, especially in the AFC. So if the Colts can pull out a win, they can potentially be in the top 3 for seeding. And just like that, when they were outside of it the week prior. So this is a big game for both of these quarterbacks.
I think that the Colts are going to win this game, ride the hot hand on Jonathan Taylor, and the Colts win this game 23-20. What about you, Shane?
I have a similar game, a little bit less scoring. I have the Patriots winning, though, 20-17. All right, our next game is the Panthers, who are 5-8, versus the Bills, who have been struggling a lot lately, who are 7-6. The Bills, I believe, are 10-point favorites, or 10.5-point favorites. My bad. Cam, unfortunately, because I love Cam Newton, he is not the guy for the Panthers anymore. He's not the quarterback for Carolina. He's been struggling. They haven't won a game in, I believe, 12 games since Cam's been the quarterback. And the Bills are struggling. Bills played. It ended up being a close game at the end last week against my Buccaneers, but in the beginning, the Bills played terrible. I honestly think they need a little bit better coaching. They didn't even run the ball in the first half without Josh Allen, and that's just not how you win games, especially against a team like the Buccaneers. I have 2 questions for you, Will. Question number 1 is: will the Panthers do a whole nother rebuild in the offseason and try to get a rookie trade up for a rookie quarterback, or will they sign someone in free agency? And the second one: are the Bills in trouble for making the playoffs?
Now, to point on the Panthers question, it's hard to tell. I mean, it's really hard to tell. As we saw in the beginning of the year, the Panthers have potential on defense. Their defense is still pretty good. And I think people are overlooking that because they see the Panthers have a bad record and don't realize that their defense is like top 10. I think Matt Rule, the head coach of the Panthers, is a good coach. He's just been dealt a very bad hand with, Cam Newton. Like you said, I love Cam Newton. But you can't just deny the facts anymore. But he's just not very good anymore. Which sucks. But he's just playing like shit. No, part of my language. And he's just, I don't really know what to say. He's gotten benched twice now, so it's really not much to say anymore. That he's just not the guy anymore. So I don't really know what they could do. Maybe stick with Sam Darnold again, give him one more chance, and if not, draft a quarterback 2 years from now. But the Bills, to answer your question, are they in trouble? No. I know people think the Bills are, but if they make the playoffs, they make the playoffs. Who cares if they make it as a wild card or they somehow win the AFC East? If they make the playoffs, they're going to be fine. My biggest concern for the Bills is they have not won a game that has been determined by one score. They have lost to the Steelers by 7. They lost to the Titans by 3. They lost to the Jaguars by 3. And the Buccaneers by 6 and the Patriots by 4. So besides that, I really like the Bills. I think they'll be fine. But they just got to win these close games. I think they're going to win the Panthers in a little bit more of a defensive slugfest, 24-13. What about you, Shane?
I think they're still going to struggle. I personally, they are, I believe, I don't think they're in. I think they're in playoff contention right now, but I think they're the last seed of the wild card.
Yep, they're the 7th seed by tiebreaker too.
Yeah, under tiebreaker. So, and there's a lot of like close teams with these similar records. 7-6, 6-7. I think there's
the
one.
Steelers are 6-1. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, there's a lot, and I believe they have one of the hardest schedules going into the end of the year. I know they face the Patriots one more time, and I think they face. Don't fact check me on this, but I think they face the Packers. I'm not 100% sure. I know they face another really good team, but I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs. I think they're gonna get. And they think they're just a little bit out of range. But I do have them winning this game, though, in a very low-scoring game, 17-14.
So next up we got is an NFC East battle between the Dallas Cowboys, who are 9-4, against the New York Giants, who are 4-9, and the Cowboys are 10.5-point favorites. The Cowboys are looking to sweep the Giants again. You know, it's the same shit every year with the Giants. They just get blown out by these teams. Disgraceful football. I really don't know. Well, if someone asks me, hey, why do you like the Giants? I'll be like, I really don't know. I mean, I don't even care anymore. Like, they lose, I'm like, oh, okay. Like, you know, as long as Saquon does good, like, for my fantasy team, which he did. He ran that sluggo on that cornerback, and I almost couldn't contain myself. I was like, oh my God, this is a running back running this type of route. Oh my God. But regardless, it's just going to be a joke of a game. You know, the Cowboys are really good, but my biggest concern for the Dallas Cowboys, which I wouldn't think I'd be saying this. I did not think I'd be saying this about the Dallas Cowboys, is I lost my Dak. Jesus, I lost my train of thought. Is Dak Prescott preventing this team from being as good as they can be? What are your thoughts on that, Shane? I know he's been playing pretty, not bad, mid, I guess. He's been playing very mid recently. What are your thoughts on that?
I think if the Cowboys decide to let go of Dak Prescott or think he's holding them back, I think disgraceful is what you would describe the Cowboys franchise. Back in 2016, when his rookie year came on with Ezekiel Elliott, they went 14-2. Dak Prescott is the best quarterback. I think he's going to end up being better than Tony Romo. Tony Romo was a good player, but Tony Romo doesn't have the qualities that Dak does. I think eventually Dak's going to be better than Tony Romo. Now, obviously, he's not going to be the best quarterback that ever hit, the Cowboys, obviously, but Troy Aikman. But Dak is the best thing that's happened to this team since their playoff runs in the fucking 1990s.
Exactly.
Dak is he's a different type of player. I think they're just doing this because Dak is known for throwing up 500-yard games, 400-yard games, throwing 5,000 yards in season. He was on pace last year, I believe, to have 5,784 passing yards before he got hurt. And you got to remember, he's coming off an injury as well. So I don't think they put that into perspective. I don't think he's holding them. I think he's helping the Cowboys. I do not think they'd be 9-4 without Dak Prescott this year. So I think they're helping them.
So I do too. But my problem is, like, if you look at his numbers, he's not been playing good recently. And I think that has some issue concern. I'm not saying he's bad, but he's just not been playing as good as he used to be. Not used to be, but, like, if you look at his last two games against the Saints, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 238 yards, 65% completion percentage. Against Washington, 56% completion, 211 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. So he just hasn't been playing good recently. And then against the Chiefs, he had two interceptions. He had a fumble. So he just played really bad. Against the Raiders, he played good. But regardless, he's been the last 3 out of the last 4 games, he hasn't been playing good. So I think that's some issue of concern. But besides that, I agree with you. I think Dak's the guy. And he's just in a slump. Every quarterback goes into a slump. No quarterback is perfect. Not even Tom Brady. So I think that's the issue here. I think the Cowboys are going to rebound pretty easily because the Giants suck. Daniel Jones probably won't play again. They're not going to give Jake Fromm the chance because management is an idiot. It's just stupid. I mean, it really does not make sense. Adoree Jackson, the Giants cornerback, who is supposed to be coming back, has COVID, so that's just going to be wonderful. So the Cowboys are going to blow us out 31-17.
I personally think the Cowboys are going to have a less scoring, but they're still going to blow you out. I have them blowing you out 21-0. I do not trust Mike Glennon as quarterback. And that's from a Buccaneers standpoint. So our next game is the Jets, who are arguably disgusting, who are 3-10, are facing the Dolphins, who are 6-7. The Dolphins are 10.5-point favorites. As you said earlier, Waddle, he's on the COVID list. But and a big part of that is his connection with Tua and Waddle. The Dolphins have been going off of that for this hot winning streak. They've won, I believe, five in a row, 6 in a row. I think they started out 1-7.
Something around there, yeah.
So they're on a winning streak. Tua's playing a lot better. I know early in the year you had questions about Tua. Dolphin fans did. Everybody did. So my question here, compared here to from here and compared to the beginning of the year, do you think the Dolphins are going to take Tua as their quarterback for the near future? And 2, do you think the Dolphins have a chance to sneak into the playoff race?
No, to the playoff race. I think the AFC is too good this year. Is he their quarterback for the future? Yes. I think he's been proving people wrong when they've been losing games. It's not really been his fault. It's mainly been the defense and the coaching. So I think he is their. What about you? Do you think he's the quarterback for the future or no?
I think he's 100% the quarterback of the future. I think they just hate on him just because just because his play style is different, just because he throws left-handed. So you got to do, for example, you got to do the plays opposite for what you would have to do for a right-handed quarterback, or you got to do play action a certain type of way. So you got to change his mechanics on that. You got to change his mechanics on his throwing. And I think they just don't think he's able to switch it up like that or learn the playbook that way. And I think that's why they were struggling in the beginning, because this is technically his first full year as a starter. So, but I think he's great. I think he's going to eventually be all pro. I think Tua's got a lot of potential. I think he's very accurate, and Waddle just makes him look even better. So Waddle's out for this game, but I don't think that's going to be a problem against the Jets. I know we don't usually talk about these bad teams like the Jets, or we'll talk about like the Steelers, obviously, because that's Will's favorite team. That's a joke, guys. It's you'll see it coming up in a couple games. Or like the Texans or the Jaguars, or especially the Lions. We don't talk about these bad teams just because there's nothing really good about them. The Jets, they're just I think the Jets honestly are like 2 pieces away from being a playoff contending team, not a Super Bowl team. I think they just need better coaching, and I think they just need to draft better. So hopefully they do that this year. But the Dolphins are gonna crush them this game. 25-10 is my prediction.
The Jets have 2 first-round picks as they have the Seahawks pick. So They have the potential to really change their team up. I got the Dolphins win this game. A similar score, 27-10. Now, the next game we got is another NFC East battle. There's a lot of games this week, just a little bit of a forewarning, guys, that have a lot of playoff implications. So be warned, we will be mentioning that a lot. We got the Washington football team at 6-7 versus the Philadelphia Eagles at 6-7, and the Eagles are 7-point favorites. Now, the Eagles had a bye last week, but the last time they played, they showed us Minshew mania. Now, I know it was against the Jets, but he played great, and I think Gardner Minshew can start anywhere in the NFL. Now, regardless, like I said, this is 2 NFL teams meeting for the first time this year with playoff implications. The football team, Washington, I got to stop saying that. It's retarded. The football team is currently the 7th seed in the NFC. And there's a bunch of teams, kind of like the AFC, there is a bunch of teams fighting and clawing who are 6-7. One of those teams is the Eagles. And the winner of this game, granted some tiebreakers and stuff, will be the current 7th seed in the NFC playoff hunt. Now, the reason why the Eagles are riding this team is their run game, which going into the season, everybody knew that their new coach, Nick Sirianni, was going to have a run-heavy team, as they currently, which is kind of crazy, lead the league. Gotta say it slow, in rushing yards a game at 160, which is incredible. If you told me that would be the Eagles going into the year, I'd call you crazy. I'd say the Ravens, the Browns, but no, the Eagles lead the league in rushing yards a game. But their main focus of concern is quarterback play with throwing the ball. is they only have 196 yards passing a game, which is second worst or third worst in the NFL. So, if you flip it the script to the Washington no names, they got a lot of questions going on. They have this huge controversy with sexual harassment and sexual assault with their, I think, Dan Snyder, the GM. I won't really get into that. Just look it up. It's just terrible shit that's going on. Toxic environment and toxic workplace. And for Washington, their defense has finally, for the most part, been clicking again after struggling through the first half of the season. So, Shane, what are your thoughts on this game between two division rivals, two teams that are fighting, like I said, for a playoff spot, and two teams that to some people are better than their record shows?
I think Washington is better than their record shows. They almost came back against the Cowboys. I watched some of that game before the Bucs-Bills game. I was watching a ton of games last week. Went to Pizza Man. I saw that one. The Washington football team, they're not a bad team. They're like, to me, they are one piece away from being a very good team. They're like mid, you know. They're same with the Eagles. The Eagles, I think they need more. I think they need a better defensive line. I think they need better, you know, at least one above average linebacker. Their linebackers aren't the greatest, but you know, you're not gonna find once in a lifetime athletes for each team, you know. So you gotta kind of have to work with what you got. But I think Washington, between these two teams, I think Washington has a better chance to make the last seed between these two teams. Now, I'm not saying Washington is my seventh seed. That I think they're gonna make the seventh seed. I haven't checked the playoff race at all, which I'm gonna do that right after this. So I think the Eagles need better defense. They need a little bit better coaching. I think Gardner Minshew is Hurts or Minshew playing this week?
It's Hurts.
It's Hurts.
Yep.
So there's a lot of energy with Gardner Minshew. I know a lot of people are fans of him and
Minshew Mania.
Yeah, Minshew Mania, I guess that's what they call it. But in all seriousness, I think the Washington football team wins this game. Very close. I think there's going to be a game-winning drive. I think I think Tyler Heineke, he's going to bring him down the stretch, and they're going to kick a game-winning field goal, and they're going to beat the Eagles 23-20.
I disagree. I think the Eagles are better than Washington in most aspects, mainly the receiving core. But I got the Eagles winning this game 20-14 in another somewhat low-scoring game, and it should be a good game, though, between these two rivals for the NFC wildcard picture, or in the NFC wildcard picture.
So on to our next game. This is gonna be another blowout. Yawn. We have the Cardinals, who are 10-3, who are coming off a loss against the Rams, face the Lions, who are 1-11-1, and the Lions are 13-point underdogs. Without D-Hop, which we've seen this year with D-Hop out, the Cardinals can still win. AJ Green had a big game against the Rams. And
Georgia. He's from Georgia.
Yeah, he is from Georgia. He played for Stafford, I believe. So, my question for you, Will, is: can the Cardinals bounce back against the Rams, and will they secure the top seed? Because right now it goes the Cardinals, or no, right now it goes the Packers, the Bucs, and the Cardinals. I believe, or maybe the Bucs are third. I'm not 100% sure, but the Packers have the number one seed in the NFC, and the Cardinals either have the second or third. Can the Cardinals regain that top spot that they've had all year?
Yeah, so the Cardinals are currently the third seed in the NFC. The Buccaneers have a tiebreaker over them, and the Packers do as well. So the thing is with the Cardinals is I think this is a perfect game to get back on track. There's not a lot of teams that you can almost safely guarantee a victory. And like you said, they played well without Deandre Hopkins and Kyler Murray, you know. So I think the Cardinals should easily win this game. I'm not worried at all. The main factor is how will they play not against the Lions down the stretch, against like the remaining opponents without DeAndre Hopkins. Mainly against the Seahawks, the Colts, and the Cowboys. So those Colts and Cowboys games may be a little bit tricky without D-Hop, but regardless, this game is going to be a good game to ease their offense without D-Hop to see how they will play. And also, they're also undefeated on the road, like the New England Patriots. The Arizona Cardinals are currently 7-0 on the road. They're looking to go 8-0, and if they beat the Cowboys, they'll be 9-0. So that's kind of crazy to think about. I think the Cardinals win this game somewhat easily, 34-11. What about you, Shane?
Yeah, I think the Cardinals blow out the Lions. I think they win 25-7.
So let's go into our next game here with the another really bad game. The Texans and the Jaguars. Both teams are 2-11, and the Jaguars are 3.5-point favorites. So we just got two questions here, mainly regarding the future for both of these teams, as they're both just contending for a top 5 or top 10 draft pick. Davis Mills is going to be the starter for the Texans for the rest of the year. Shane, do you think he's the franchise guy or no?
I don't know. David Mills, I haven't really I've seen one game of him, and I think that's when they faced the Panthers that we watched early in the year. I don't know if he's the top guy. I haven't seen enough about him, so I don't really have a comment on that. But yeah.
All right, my other question to you is for regarding this team is how will the Jaguars play without Urban Meyer? Do you think a lot better, or do you think the same, or how do you think that'll all go?
I think they'll play better because they'll sign me. But no, in all seriousness, I think they'll play better because like I said earlier, I don't think Urban Meyer is NFL coach caliber worthy to be a coach, or I think he needs to go back to coaching college or being on, a halftime show analyst during college football. I don't think he's a great coach for the NFL. I don't think he doesn't have the right system for the Jaguars. The Jaguars players aren't the 2014 Ohio State Buckeyes. Trevor Lawrence isn't, who is their quarterback back then? Dwayne Haskins? No, not Dwayne Haskins. I don't even know.
JT Barrett?
It was a long time ago, so that just helps me prove my point. It's not 2014 football, it's 2021, 2022 football. There's a lot of difference in the game in those 8 years. Like you said, comparing it from Brady's era and Mac Jones' era, it's a lot different. So I don't think Meyer's type of play calling is good for this team. So I think they'll be a little bit better without Urban Meyer.
So that's a good point, and I know there's not really much to talk about with these two teams. And we're just going to end it at that. These both teams in the middle of a rebuild. Hopefully their futures are better than they are now. I think the Jaguars win this game 14-10.
Yeah, I pretty much had the same score. I have the Jaguars winning 17-14. And Will, you're going to like this one.
I'll be right back.
On to our next game, we have the Titans, who are 9-4 versus the Steelers, who are 6-1. The Titans are 1.5-point favorites. The Steelers need a win to stay alive in the AFC North race. There's a lot of. I think that that division is the most interesting division of them all, just because of where the records stand right now. King Henry, my boy, King Henry, will be coming back week 18 for the Titans. I have two questions for you, Will. Do you, no bias, no judgment against the Steelers? I know you love the Steelers so much. One, do you think the Steelers even have a slight chance of being the 7th seed? And I know I've asked that question for a lot of teams, but it's really an unknown because there's a lot of bipolar teams this year. And then question number 2, do the Titans stay in that top 3 seeding until Derrick Henry comes back?
Yes, or no, and yes. I think the Steelers' main issue, on a serious note, no jokes or anything, is their schedule is very tough. They're going to get the Titans, the Chiefs, the Browns, and the Ravens, and I just really think those are all really tough games for the Steelers. And I really feel like that's going to be their Achilles heel and not winning games that they should have won, like against the Raiders and the Lions. They tied them. So, that's why I think it is mainly their schedule and the fact they're just also not a very good team. Their record's pretty inflated. Will the Titans hold on? Yes. For another very similar reason, scheduling and also injuries. The Titans are currently the 3rd seed, and I think they'll stay right there because every team in the AFC North has a crazy schedule on the end of the road. And I really feel like that is going to help the other teams in the AFC be the what's the word I'm thinking of? I guess that's what's going to help the other teams in the AFC get a higher seeding than the AFC North, is their schedules are all really hard, and the Ravens are at the top, but Lamar's hurt now, so I think yes, the Titans will hold on mainly because the other seeds in the AFC North, who are below them, are having a tough schedule. So I think the Titans win this game. They'll be fine without King Henry, 21-17, as they move on to another 10-win season. And Mike Vrabel, the head coach for the Titans, is just he's a good coach. Did you hear what he said about the Titans in the Super Bowl?
No. What did he say about the Titans in the Super Bowl?
Well, he said this a couple years ago, but he said if he would sacrifice his own penis for them to make the Super Bowl, like he'd cut it off.
That's crazy. He used to coach under Bill Belichick, if I'm not mistaken.
No, he used to play for Bill Belichick. He was a linebacker.
He used to. Yeah, I think he played with Brady as well. So I believe so. But yeah, he's a great coach. He's really turned the Titans around. A lot of that has to do with how he knows his players. He knows what helps this team win. He doesn't ask too much out of Ryan Tannehill unless he needs to, and they just go. They just get carried by King Henry, and a lot of people think that's like a bad thing. But a good coach is what the definition of a good coach isn't by your record; it's by what he knows how to win games with the team that he has. So, they know they can win games when they give King Henry the ball 30 times, and they know it works because it's been working for the past 3 years. So, but I had the Titans winning this game 21-14.
Excuse me, I took a drink out of my Red Bull. I think the Titans win this game as well, 21-17. In all these games, most of these games this week are going to be really close too, which is also lovely. Another AFC playoff battle, man. How many of these we're going to get this week? Playoff battle. We got both teams are 7-6. We got the Bengals at the Denver Broncos, and the Broncos are 2.5-point favorites. So after, as I said earlier, a very emotional win, the Broncos beating the Lions, the Bengals got not upset. They lost in overtime to the Bang Bang Niner gang. The Bengals are really trending down after starting super hot. They were at one point the first seed in the AFC. Now they are trending down and down and down. And the Broncos have been playing very mediocre the whole year. They've been consistent, but they've been really mediocre. They can beat a team like the Cowboys, but then they can't beat a team like the Raiders or the Eagles. So the Broncos, it's going to be very interesting how they feel about this game, as they I don't know. It's hard to explain. They need to win this game. They have a tough schedule up ahead, and this is going to be a game that's a must-win. So they're going to have to ride the run game with Javonte Williams, a rookie from North Carolina, and what was I going to say? Oh, Melvin Gordon, the running back, Melvin Gordon. That duo is great on the ground. And the Broncos defense has been playing really well. Second best defense in the NFL, man. 18 points a game. It's really good. It's better, besides, they're like the Patriots in a way. Very good defense, a quarterback that's a game manager, and that's going to lead them, hopefully, to the playoffs for Broncos fans. So my question to you, Shane, is, now I know we said this a lot with can they make the playoffs, but that's my question for you, because, like you said, it's so close that some teams ought to give. Some teams that are 7-6 or tied for this record for the 7th seed will not make the playoffs. So do you think the Broncos will make the playoffs based on their defense, their run game, and Teddy Bridgewater?
So before I answer that question, I think, like you said, I praise the Broncos. I wanna look at the playoffs. Do you have the playoff seed right next to you by chance? I want to see where they stand right now with the other teams. I do not. To me, I don't think the Broncos have the longevity. My bad. Need to learn words.
So the Broncos, out of all the teams that are 7-6, they are at the bottom. There's 5 teams that are 7-6, and right now the Bengals have the tiebreaker over the Broncos based on win percentage and conference games.
So the Broncos aren't they're not in. They're in the hunt, but they're at the bottom.
Yes. Yep.
So I think a lot of stuff has to happen for the Broncos to make it. As you said in the previous game, I don't think the Steelers make it. You know, you said they faced the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Colts, I believe, as well. So I don't think the Steelers are going to win another game this year. The Broncos, they're like you said, there's a lot of close. I don't think it's kind of hard to tell because it's all based off. You got to go week by week with it. You know, if Broncos lose this week, that could be their season. You know. If they win the next 2 games, they could be the 7th or 6th seed, and then they lose 1 game, they could be they couldn't even be in the playoffs. Like I said earlier, the Colts gained 3 positions without even playing last week. They went to bed being in the hunt, the second team in the hunt, and they woke up being I believe the 6th seed. So anything can happen in the NFL within a given week. So, to answer your question, I don't have a definite answer on if Teddy Bridgewater plays really well and they win out, I think it's possible. But I don't have a definite yes or no answer for that question.
What about the Bengals?
The Bengals, I think it's going to be a little easier, just because we know how good this team can be. But like you said earlier, they've been on a kind of a slow pace ever since they were first in they were the first seed. They have to win out to even win their division, I believe. So to me, I think the Bengals have a better chance than the Broncos. So I'll say yes, there is a possibility for them to only get the 7th seed. I don't think they'll get any higher seed than the 7th. But I think there is a possibility for the Bengals to make the 7th seed.
Who do you think wins this game, Shane, between 2 teams who are fighting for a playoff spot?
I have the Bengals. I have it a really close game, though. I think both of these teams are, just a few pieces away. I know you're very high in the Broncos' future, and the Bengals as well, especially the Broncos. But I have the Bengals winning this game 28-24.
I disagree. I think the Broncos are going to win this game. I think the Broncos are a good team, and I think they're very underrated. I think the Broncos win this game 24-23 in another very close game.
All right, so next we have the Falcons, who are 6-7, versus the 49ers, who are coming off a big win against the Bengals. They are 7-6. The 49ers are 9-point favorites. And this is another game with wild card implications. These 2 teams, they're not. There's a lot of different things with these 2 teams. The 49ers are way better than their record. And the Falcons, they're not. They don't play like a 6-7 team. They play more of a 4-win team. I honestly think the Giants are a better team than the Falcons.
Funny.
Yeah. So I have a couple questions for you, Will. Do you think this is the year? I know you mentioned this a couple earlier in the season during the podcast, but do you believe that the Falcons should move on from Matt Ryan and possibly trade him for better defensive players and then get a quarterback in the draft, or do you think they just need to keep rebuilding slowly, because they haven't been good since they gave up the Super Bowl lead against Tom Brady? And my second question is, 49ers, I believe, are the 6th seed, 6th or 7th seed in the NFC wild card race. Do you think the 49ers stay in the wild card race and make the playoffs?
Yes, for the 49ers, yes. I like Kyle Shanahan. I think they're finally clicking. They're a lot better than their record shows. I think they're more like a 9-win team, not a 7-win team. And do I think the Falcons should move on from Matt Ryan? Yes. He's not bad. But But the thing is that he's just like his time's come. You know, they just need to rebuild. They traded Julio Jones. Now he should be next. Trade him to a team that needs a quarterback like Washington, or that's basically a quarterback away from competing. Maybe the Broncos. But that's where I stand on that. I think Matt Ryan's still good, but I think they just need to usher in a new era. What about you? Do you think they should trade him?
I actually have one more side question. Do you think the reason the Falcons are struggling is because, we know about Cordell Patterson and we know about Kyle Pitts?
Yep.
We know how electric those players are. Do you think the reason the Falcons are struggling so much is because Matt Ryan doesn't fit their offense, or do you think it's because of their defense, or do you think it's both?
So are you basically asking why are they winning?
Do you think? No, I'm asking why do you think? Because to me they have the pieces to be a wild card team, but do you think they could be a lot better team if they had a quarterback that fits around the players that they have now? Because Matt Ryan isn't the most mobile or electrifying quarterback in the NFL, and their defense isn't the best. So do you think the reason why they are just like a mid team is because of their defense, or is it because they don't have the right quarterback leading the team?
Neither. I think the reason why they've won so many games, or I guess 6 wins, is because their schedule is very easy. They are. What I just saw it on ESPN. What are they? Crap! I lost my train of thought. Oh, they are like the best worst team ever, right? So like statistically, they are terrible, and the only reason why they're so good is because they have beaten really bad teams. Their offense, they average 19 points a game, which is 26th, and they average 27 points against them, which is 28th, right? That's really bad. That's not a team that is 6-7 and fighting for a playoff spot. So I think the reason why they're winning games is not because they are, their defense or Matt Ryan. I think it's their schedule. There's nothing else that could be, in my opinion. It's the schedule.
So to cut you off just real quick, these are the wins for the Falcons this year. They beat the Giants 17-14 in week 3. Then they lost a 4-point game to Washington. They beat the Jets only by 7 points. Then they beat Miami only by 2 points, which is, I believe, Miami's last loss. They beat New Orleans by 2 points. They beat Jacksonville by 7, and then they beat Carolina by 8. So they're not blowing out teams. They've been blown out. Let's see. They lost to New England 25-0. They lost to Dallas 43-3. They lost to Tampa 30-17 and 48-25. They lost to Philly 32-6. And the only close loss that they had was against Washington, which was 34-30. So, I mean, I didn't even realize how easy their schedule was. I knew they had wins against teams like the Jets and the Giants, but their best win this year,
Dolphins,
yeah, but
and they're realistically, they're gonna finish 8-9. They're gonna probably lose to San Francisco and Buffalo, and they're gonna beat the Lions and the Saints. Yeah. But you can't tell me if that theoretically happens, that's their most likely, I guess, record.
You can't tell me it's because of Matt Ryan, because Matt.
No, Ryan, right? No, exactly. And they're not a team that is an 8-win team. You know what I'm saying? Like they are like an 8-win team. Like if Washington finishes 8-9, or the Raiders if they finish as an 8-win team, the Falcons are just. So they're not as good as their record shows, by far. Like you said, I think they're on the Giants skill level. I think they're a 4-win team, and they've just gotten blessed with an easy schedule. You know what I'm saying?
I think the biggest reason why they're not like you said, I think their defense is what's helping them out. But I think what would make this team a lot better is getting a quarterback you can that has a similar skill set to people like Kyle Pitts or Cordell Patterson. I think they need a mobile quarterback. In all honesty, I think I'm not like a Lamar Jackson, but like a playmaker, like a Russell Wilson or a Deshaun Watson. I think they need a quarterback like that who can run the ball and throw the ball, because when you do that, you have to worry about him. You got to worry about Patterson, and Patterson can go out into the slot and be next to Kyle Pitts. There's a whole that offense could be very scary if they get the right quarterback and they upgrade their line just a little bit. that offense could be one of the top 10 offenses in the NFL next year. But who knows? We'll see if they do that. But I have the 49ers winning this game 17-16.
I got the 49ers also winning 27-20. We got 4 more games here. The next one is going to be the Green Bay Packers, who are 10-3, against the Baltimore Ravens, who are 8-5, and the Ravens are 5.5-point underdogs. So the AFC North is coming down to the wire. We already established that, talking about the Steelers, Bengals, and the Browns. If the Packers win this game against the Ravens, they will clinch the NFC North, as their second team is the Vikings at 6-7. So one more Packers win, they clinch the North, which is expected. So the question here is, will Lamar play for Baltimore? He has an ankle sprain. I mentioned that in the beginning, and he is questionable, but he is key for the Ravens to pull off this win. Now, regardless if Lamar plays or not, I'm sticking by my guts that the Packers will win this game. They are just clicking. I think they're the best team in football right now, and I really think this is their year they win the Super Bowl. In Aaron Rodgers' last year, most likely his last year in for a Super Bowl. I think this is their last year of Aaron Rodgers, because he's really pissed off with the organization. He's just really disgruntled, and this is it. I mean, this is their shot, with Devontae Adams supposedly wanted to play in Las Vegas for Derek Carr, his old college partner, and his guy in college. Supposedly Aaron Rodgers wanted to go to Denver. His fiance lives in Denver. They got a good team, or maybe the Steelers. So it's looking like it's Aaron Rodgers' last year, and I really think this is the year they finally get it done. They finally win the Super Bowl. Again, what do you think about the overall game right here, Shane, between the Packers and Baltimore?
I think if Lamar Jackson plays, I think they win. I think the Ravens, I think they're a little bit better than their record, and a lot of people wouldn't say that, but when you watch the games, you can see that they are like a 9, maybe 10 win team. As far as Aaron Rodgers, I don't think this is. I think this has always been the Packers. It's always Aaron Rodgers balls out during the season. The Packers play great. They hit playoffs and they just start, they start struggling. They lost to the Rams like 3 times in the playoffs, who we're going to get to in our next game. They lost to the Bucs last year. They haven't made it. They haven't won an NFC Championship game since 2010, 2010, 2009, 2010. Yeah, when they won it all. Yep. Yeah, when they won it all. They've been in. I believe they've been in 3. I think they've been in 4 NFC Championship games since then, and they haven't won a single one. So maybe it's not so much to me. Maybe it's not so much the Packers organization. I know they haven't been treating Aaron Rodgers how he thinks he should be treated, but when playoff time comes, Aaron Rodgers, he doesn't play like Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion. So you got to question: is it more Aaron Rodgers, or is it more they're not giving him what he needs to succeed? As far as the game goes, I think the Packers honestly win this game. Like I said earlier, I think the Ravens are a very good team, except I just don't think they don't have the players that they usually their star players to beat this team. So I have the Packers winning this in a somewhat slow, low-scoring game, 21-18.
I got the Packers winning this game as well. I got them winning 30-24, and it's going to be a good game. Most of these games this week are going to be good. I know I said it already, but this is going to be a good week for football. Let me take the mic again, as I know Shane wants to talk about the Buccaneers, so I'm going to go back to back. Our next game we have is an NFC West battle between the Seattle Seahawks, who are 5-8, versus the Los Angeles Rams at 9-4. Now the Rams are 4.5-point favorites. Both of these division rivals have won 2 in a row. Someone's going to give on Sunday. Whose streak is going to end? I think it's the Seahawks. The Rams are finally getting back on track. They upset the Cardinals. They blew out the Jaguars. So they're looking like a team that is a real threat again. Now, the question here is, can the Rams steal the division from Arizona? They are 1 game back on them with a bunch of the tiebreakers happening and stuff. The Rams could theoretically win the division. Do I think they will? It'll be close. The Rams got a somewhat tough schedule up ahead. They some notable games they're playing. They're going against the Vikings, the Ravens, and the 49ers. You flip the script to the Cardinals side. The Cardinals are obviously playing the Lions this week. They play the Cowboys, the Colts, and the Seahawks. So it'll be really close. If I have to give it to the Cardinals, though, I think they'll be just ahead of the Rams. But what do you think? Who do you think ends up winning the NFC West?
I think like you said, I think it's close. I think the Rams have to win out. I'm not sure how the Cardinals' schedule is the rest of the year. I know they don't face the Rams because they faced them twice already, I believe.
Yep.
So yeah, I think both these teams, I think the Cardinals and the Rams both went out, and I think the Cardinals secure the their division. But I think the Rams will obviously have the top wild card spot, but who knows? As far as this team goes,
what about the Seahawks?
Listen, unless the Seahawks can, somehow, unless a lot of stuff happens, I don't see the Seahawks even make the playoffs. So
no, I mean like in general, what do you feel about the Seahawks?
Oh, in general, I was getting to that. So in general, I think the Seahawks, I think they've just had tough breaks all year with Wilson being out for I believe 4 games, 3-4 games, and just they need a better defense. Their offense is mid. They need a better line. Obviously, that's been there's vocal point for the last couple of years. They need to stop drafting 6'6", 280-pound wide receivers who are nothing but muscle like DK Metcalf. Even though he's a great player, they need to invest that size into someone who's like a center or a guard. That's what I think. I don't think the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks win like maybe 2 more games this year. I think they're like a 6, 7, 8 win team maybe if they get lucky. As far as the Rams go, I think they need to stay consistent if they want to win the Super Bowl this year. They have the team. They overall they have the best team. They have the most depth. They have the best defense. You look on paper, they have Aaron Donald, they have Ramsey, they have Von Miller, they have they have everybody. But they have Matthew Stafford. They have a good O-line. They have possibly, arguably, the best coach in the NFL. They just need to stay consistent. And personally, do I think they're going to do that? We'll see once playoffs comes. But for this game, I think the Rams win 28-13.
I think the Rams also win this game 27-17. The Seahawks are just not as good as they used to be, and it's really unfortunate to see it. Rams 27-17, and I'm going to pass the mic to Shane, guys, as he's going to be talking about his team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
So we have the Sunday night football game, which will be the Saints, who are 6-7, facing the Buccaneers, who are 10-3. Buccaneers are 11-point favorites. Buccaneers crushed the Bills for the first 3 quarters last week, and then they almost choked, which made me almost have a heart attack at Pizza Man. And made my sister laugh a lot because she's a Bills fan. But anyways, Buccaneers pulled it out. Tom Brady game-winning touchdown. As always trust Tom. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have never lost in Tampa. They haven't lost this year. They're facing the Saints, which ironically, the Saints have been Brady's kryptonite ever since Tom Brady has played for the Bucs. He has not beaten the Saints in the regular season. He's 1-3 against the Saints since he started against Tampa. They beat him in the playoffs last year. My question for you, Will, is I have a fun fact to say about Tom Brady after we finished up this game that I think you'll be amazed by. My question for you is my 2 questions is: 1, can the Buccaneers steal the top seed from the Packers? And 2, do you think the Saints would be in the playoffs if it wasn't for Jameis Winston getting hurt?
Do I think the Buccaneers take the top spot? I don't know. It's close. I really think it's too close to tell. There's a lot. 3 teams are fighting for it, so I really cannot say. The good thing about the Buccaneers is their schedule is easy, but I really can't answer that yet. Saints in the playoffs with Jameis, easily 100%. They were playing great. He was having the best year of his career, arguably, and then he went down with that terrible ACL injury. So, yes, I think if the Saints had Jameis Winston, they'd be a completely different team. Now they're just riding the Taysom Hill boat and seeing what they can salvage of their season. Well, what do you think about the Saints? Do you think they would have made the playoffs with Jameis, or do you think no?
I don't think they'd win the division. Buccaneers have been too good of a team, but I do think they take like the 6th or the 7th seed of the wild card. Jameis Winston, they did something to Jameis where he's just a way better player than he was when he was with the Bucs. But we'll see. Next year, if he comes back, we'll see how Tom Brady will be a year older. Hopefully Tampa Bay can. The division next year is going to be interesting, especially like we said about the Falcons. If they trade away Matt Ryan, they get a new QB. Next year the NFC South is going to be a very interesting division to watch. And then with the Panthers as well, what are they going to do with their quarterback situation? So it's almost like the only thing we know next year is that Tampa's going to be good, and then the rest of the division is unknown. There could be a possibility where all 3 out of the 4 teams make playoffs next year with a couple, changes. But listen, I think they would have made the playoffs if Jameis never got hurt, because Jameis, he played very well. I believe they were 5-2 before he got hurt. So or 5-2.
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that, but yeah.
So, who do you think is going to win this game between the Saints and the Buccaneers on prime time?
I think the Bucs win this game. I think I want to say it's going to be close, but I think eventually, Tom Brady's just going to pull away. I think the Buccaneers win 35-21.
I think the Buccaneers are going to win this game as well. I think they're going to win this game 21-13, a little bit more defensive, but I still think the Buccaneers will pull it out in the end.
So to go back, right, real quick, right, to go back to the Packers versus Bucs, who's going to be the top seed at the end. The Packers, obviously they have the Ravens this week. They have the Browns, the Vikings, and the Lions. So we'll see how that goes. But my stat that I wanted to tell you, Will, is that it's not a big stat, but it's a very important stat in close games. Ever since Tom Brady has joined the Buccaneers, his touchdown to interception ratio in the red zone is 60-1.
Cap.
He has 60 touchdowns to 0 interceptions being in the red zone since he became a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. So that's an insane stat. And I just, I know you're all about stats, and I think you'd enjoy that. But on to our next game.
So our next game, our final game of the week, is between the Minnesota Vikings, who are 6-7, and the Chicago Bears at 4-9. This is the Monday night primetime game, and the Vikings are 3.5-point favorites. Obviously, with most games this week, the Vikings either win to stay alive in the playoff hunt. They lost to the Lions, and the Vikings didn't throw off their track too much as they did beat the Steelers last week in a blowout that turned into a very close game at the end. So my question for you, Shane. Obviously, the Bears are terrible. We established that. We really won't go into depth. Matt Nagy needs to be fired. That, and the whole 9 yards. So my question to you is, what are your just general thoughts on the Minnesota Vikings? Do you think they're bad? Do you think they're all right? Do you think they have a potential to make a deep playoff run? Just give me your general thoughts on what you think of the Minnesota Vikings and their team.
I think the Vikings are a lot like the Broncos or the Bengals. Just they lost to the Lions, so one more win, one less loss. They're 7-6. So and I don't even consider the Lions a professional team. I mean, my semi-pro team could probably beat the Lions at this point. But the Vikings, they're a team, and I don't understand why they keep throwing mid teams on Monday Night Football. It kind of upsets me, because then I don't want to watch the game, especially when the Bears have been on it for the 4th time. But it's okay, because to me the Vikings are they're a future playoff team. Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, they got great guys to build around. And they're not even people think they're in a rebuild, which they were for a year or two, and they're mid team right now. And I think they're just they're a defensive specialist away from being a very good team, because that defense is what their kryptonite is, just a little bit compared to what their offense does. But for this game, I'm not going to say much about the Bears, except I hope, I just pray somehow, some way, Justin Fields gets traded to a better team because Matt Nagy is ruining his career.
Or they just fire Matt Nagy, or they could just do that.
Yeah, they could just fire Matt Nagy, but honestly, I think Justin Fields is the type of quarterback that I think he'd be perfect with the Falcons. I think he'd be a great fit for the Falcons with that offense. But, who knows? Some things you never get to see, just like Giants winning a Super Bowl, or the Cowboys winning a Super Bowl for that matter.
I actually saw him win 2 Super Bowls, Shaneson.
Anyways.
Shane can't read, guys. That's just my bad. He's illiterate. Right, Shane?
Yeah, get a female.
I'm gay.
Anyways, the Vikings are going to win this game 28-10.
As you guys see, guys, that joke went over Shane's head. I said, I'm gay, I'm a homosexual, and Shane just didn't even acknowledge that. I'm actually not, though.
I honestly didn't hear you, but, it's okay.
You said, get a female on you. I said, I'm gay. And then you literally just said, and the Vikings are going to win this game. I was like, okay, well, it looks like you didn't get the joke. But I'm not. I'm just messing around. I'm not homophobic, though. But anyway, let's stop talking about gay. We're talking about, it's crazy how much we can go off track here when we're supposed to be talking about football, and then now we're talking about, like, homosexuality. So, regardless, anyway.
It's great for the viewers, Will. Come on now.
Yeah, it is, whatever. Anyway, so I think the Vikings are going to win this game 35-20. And you got the Vikings winning too, right, Shane?
Yeah, I have the Vikings winning 28-10. I think Dalvin Cook's going to go off this game because the Bears defense absolutely sucks.
So my game of the week, AFC West battle. I'm not really going to say much. It's kind of self-explanatory for me. The Kansas City Chiefs versus the Los Angeles Chargers. It's going to be a great game. It's going to be a fun game to watch. It's going to be a shootout, and it's a glimpse into the future, which I think will be a great rivalry for time to come. Chiefs and Chargers. It's on tonight, guys. Don't forget to watch it. What's your game of the week, Shane?
My game of the week isn't a Tampa Bay game because, I don't think there's a lot of importance in this game, minus the fact Tampa Bay, chasing the top seed. But my game of the week is the New England Patriots versus the Indianapolis Colts. I've said it like all day during the podcast. The Colts were like a 9th seed, and now they're 6th, and they didn't even play last week. So this is a must-win for the Colts, even though I don't think they're going to win. This is also a must-win for the Patriots to keep that top spot in the AFC. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be a very entertaining game. It's going to be I think it's going to be a run-heavy game. Last week, obviously, not last week, when the Patriots faced the Bills, they ran the ball, what was it? I believe 37 times. And they have good running backs back there too. So it's gonna be a great game overall.
So the picks record real fast is I'm 56-45 and Shane is 57-44. So we're really close. It'll be interesting to see how it'll be after this week. But this concludes the Week 15 edition of the Gridiron Talk podcast. A shout out to my boy Joey. I forgot to mention this in the beginning. For the thumbnail, we got Dalvin Cook, Hunter Renfrow, and the greatest quarterback of all time, Thomas Edward Brady. I think that's his name. I think it's Thomas. I hope it's Edward, because if not, then that's awkward. That's the quarterback for Shane's team. Thomas Edward Patrick Brady. Yeah, so Tom Brady, Hunter Renfrow, and Dalvin Cook are on the thumbnail this week. Shout out to my man Joey, like always, for doing that with me. And just a little bit quick wrap up. Thank you guys so much for listening to this every single week. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to check out my podcast on the Raiders. We took a week hiatus. We're coming back tomorrow talking about their game more in depth against the Browns. But that is that. Shane, do you have anything else to add real quick before we go?
No, just, prayers out to Demaryius Thomas and his family. That's a tragedy. I thought he was a great player. As far as the podcast goes, make sure you follow my Instagram at BigManShane. You may see, a future update on if I get signed or not. So check out for that. Just have a great week. There's a lot of important games this week, so make sure you watch some football.
That is the conclude this episode, guys. Everyone wish Shane a good luck in his tryout for football on Sunday. The Rider Rockets coming to Jacksonville. Watch out, people. He's about 5'8", 245. Right, Shane?
Don't you ever disrespect me like that. 5'11", 220, and I can play any position on the field. So you just, I'll blindside your boyfriend and then get your number and we'll go on from there. But
all right,
anyways,
all
continue what
right.
you're saying, Will.
Yeah, good luck at your tryout, man. It's on Sunday. Hopefully you kick some major Floridian meat, pause, and you make that tryout. Pause. That sounded really sus. But yeah, that's the conclude this episode, guys. Stay tuned for our episode next week when we talk about the Week 16. We're going to keep on doing this throughout the playoffs and conclude with the Super Bowl. So we'll be doing this until like February-ish. But yeah, we'll be back next week, and that'll be like our Christmas episode, I guess. So, guys, have a great weekend. Don't forget to watch the football games this week. It's going to be on Thursday through Monday, which is awesome. You get a lot of football this weekend. So stay tuned, guys. Have a good one. And like I always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends and family. Thank you all so much for listening. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, guys.